I've been in ecom for over 7 years now. I've had countless failed stores and also successful stores that have done over $7 million in sales at this point. And in my journey, I've heard all kinds of BS that just sounds great in theory, but doesn't actually add any money in your bank account or put $10,000 Ralph Lauren cowboy jackets on your back. So here's the brutal truth that I wish I knew sooner, and it doesn't matter if you're doing dropshipping or have an ecom brand or sell feet pics. This is the shit you need to hear if you want to be successful. Now, when I first started dropshipping as a pimply-faced, scrawny 16-year-old with no riz, I would spend weeks preparing a product, trying to make the perfect website and ads, because I thought that's what it takes to have a winning product. And then it would take another few weeks to analyze the data, actually test that product to see if it was a winner, which, newsflash, it never was. And I felt that after my first month, I was kind of moving in cement. It didn't feel like a lot of things were actually changing or that my skills were developing. And I was right, because I had this mindset that everything needs to be perfect, which is a little bit paradoxical if you actually want to develop your skills, because the way you actually raise your standards over time is by lowering your standards initially so that you can actually get more reps in. It's way more beneficial if you want to get your first winning product to focus on quantity, because as you get more tests in, you get your next website, your next ads, your next product, naturally the quality of each test is also going to raise. And the best analogy I found for this is that there was a study where they had 2 different classes that were in ceramics. And one class had a whole semester to make one pot, all 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. Another class was tasked with making a pot every single day. And at the end of the semester, they would each get graded on their best pot. And what they found out is that in this study, the class that had all semester to make the perfect pot failed miserably. They consistently had lower scores than the class that was making new pots every single day, because they focused on that quantity, and naturally every day their pots got better and a little better and a little better. They got feedback, they refined it. But when you only have one data point compared to someone who has 30 data points or 60 data points, you're going to lose every single time, even when you're focused on perfectionism. So I find one of the best mottos you can have when you're getting started is by Facebook, which is to move fast and break things. Because I found that one of my best students ever, Matt, in his first 3 months of working with me, he scaled a new store from zero to over $20,000 a day. And he didn't do that by testing one product over 3 months. He tested 20 products over the span of 3 months. And he dealt with so many problems, a slew of ad account bans, payment processor holes, all of the main problems that a very weak dropshipper mindset-wise would quit immediately and just go to Forex or flipping NFTs for no money at all. But because he dealt with all those problems initially, he got to get to that next level of scale. So what you find out is that the more problems you solve, the more money you're going to make. So it's actually advantageous to try to move as fast as possible to deal with as many problems so that you can get to that level where your skills are developed enough to be successful and have a winning product. So basically, focusing on speed and quantity of tests is going to be your best strategy to learn dropshipping as fast as possible. And a retard who moves fast is always going to make more progress than a rocket scientist who's just planning and preparing all day because it makes him feel good. So now that you know you should be trying to fail as much as possible early on with your dropshipping store, what exactly should we be focusing our day-to-day time on when we're managing our brand? Because we want to get to the point where we know our first product test, yeah, it's going to be a fail. We're just getting in our reps. But by our 10th product test, we want to have the skills developed and that quality threshold met so that when we do have the right product, we can actually make it a winner. And really what you need to understand is that no matter what product you're going to select, there's always going to be thousands of competitors. But everyone is incredibly lazy. They're going to just test that product with a basic offer that they're not split testing. They're going to rip some ads, and they're going to have some very generic AI written copy that sounds good and fluffy, but doesn't actually speak directly to your customer avatars. So your main thought should be, how do I beat my competition? How do I make my ads and website 25% better than everyone else? And really where that starts, and I know you don't want to hear it because it's not sexy, is you need to stop over relying on all these fucking AI prompts and quick hacks. That is not going to be the way that you get to your first $1,000 a day. Because so many of you are just trying to get this level 10 step, but you're missing level 1. You can't build the couch by flipping to page 100 when you're skipping the first 99 pages. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to dropshipping, it's all about who's the best marketer at the end of the day. It's not about who has the best product, it's who can market it the best, which is the best marketer. So how do you develop yourself to be a better marketer than everyone else? Well, it starts with the fundamentals, the basics of direct response copywriting. Now, where do you learn that? I always recommend learning by reading books from the best OG copywriters like the Dan Ogilvy's, the Dan Kennedy's, the Russell Brunsons, the Sabri Subis. If you know, you know. I mean, that Sell Like Crazy book is actually insane. It's one of my favorite marketing books. But basically, you need to know the fundamentals of how to create a customer avatar, how to write engaging, juicy headlines, benefits, target desires, problems, how to really understand basic customer psychology persuasion to be able to make someone make a decision of buying your product. Because if you don't understand that, it doesn't matter what AI templates, that can't replace your brain if you don't understand what good copy looks like. You can have AI spit out in the click of a button with your Cheeto-covered fingers some pretty decent copy, but you need to be able to massage it, knead that dough into the right bread that your audience is craving. Because if you can't do that, you're just going to have the same generic copy that everyone else has, and you're not going to stand out, which you're going to need to do if you want to have a winning product. So read a few books from each one of these OG copywriters, and if you're illiterate like myself, then just get the audiobook version, because once you learn the skill of direct response copy, it is your most valuable tool. You'll be able to sell any product, no matter what media buying strategy or offer strategy is hot right now, but will literally die in a few months, because all of those strategies are fads. But this skill is universal. It will last you a lifetime, and really, whoever masters the fundamentals the best and knows how to execute is the one that wins the business. And my mentor, Dan Henry, was my first mentor when I was 18 years old. He told me, when it comes to business, 90% is execution, 10% is strategies. But everyone thinks it's the complete opposite. But when you think about it, let's say, for instance, I was making a movie and I gave 100 movie actors the same script. The one that's going to get that part, my Leonardo DiCaprio, is going to be the one who executed that script the best, even though they all have the same script. Now, this next lesson I really wish I knew sooner, because it's a trap that every single dropshipper falls into, including yourself, Buster. And it's realizing that with dropshipping, it's all about flash, at least on the surface. On social media, you're going to see people flashing the rollies, flashing the Ralph Lauren cowboy jackets and their gold-digging Latinas. But basically, when you start getting into this game, you're going to want to do the flashy thing. You're going to want to try to run up a quick bag by selling some sort of flashy, viral, wow factor product. And that's what everyone tries to do, because you think these products are what people are buying. That's what's going viral. That's what's getting the views. That's what's popping off on PPS. But when you've been in the game for a little bit of time, you realize that these products tend to attract the lowest quality audience. Young people that are completely broke and don't even have a credit card. So you want to, in most cases, actually avoid the flashy items. Avoid doing the flashy thing, because typically what happens is when you focus on the boring items, when you focus even on the boring fundamentals, that most people will not have the attention span to learn because they're so OCD and brain rot fried, that's when you actually have a competitive advantage. So when it comes to products, for instance, I find that it's the boring products that attract the best buyers. It's the products that appeal to those older audiences that actually have money and a real tangible problem that they need to solve, a burning need. Not some sort of flashy little accessory you can put on your car, some sort of necklace, something that's, yeah, I can make a quick little 5 to 10 second video, I can make a few sales, but when it actually comes to scaling, it's impossible, because it's not a fundamental need for people. And if you want to be making money for the long term, for 6 months, 12 months, multiple years with this same dropshipping product, and be able to exit and have brand equity, because that's also an incredibly lucrative option, it's not going to be through selling the quick little seasonal, trendy, viral product. It's not going to happen, my friend. And in other aspects, when it comes to dropshipping, focusing on the business operations is going to make you so much more money in the long term than focusing on the flashy media buying strategy, the offer strategy, the new product research strategy, the new AI. Everyone is focusing on that. That is where people are zigging. You need to zag. Now, what business operations are we talking about? Like, what actually creates freedom to where you can scale a dropshipping brand, have it be operating and running without you having any input on the day-to-day operations? Because that is where you should be trying to get, where you are working on the business, not in the business. And where that starts is by creating SOPs and hiring your first employees. Now, I get at your stage, maybe you're making a few sales a day. Sure, you're not ready yet for that. But when you are doing these little tasks, like customer support, like order fulfillment, like maybe even posting on social media or creating new ads, create SOPs of what you're doing right now, so that you can eventually outsource that to someone else who maybe only be able to do it at 80 to 90% of your capacity, but that frees up your time. It frees up your calendar to focus on higher leverage tasks. Because let's say 3 hours of customer support might make you $100 to $200 in the long run. Compared to 3 to 4 hours of time spent on creating new angles, new ads, new offers, that's going to make you 10x the amount of money. So as a CEO, that is where your time should be spent, on the high leverage tasks that make your boat go faster, rather than the tasks like order fulfillment and customer support that just maintain your boat. And when you develop these SOPs for the first time and then start hiring your first VAs, you're gonna fail. There is a lot of trial and error that's involved where you're gonna find out what you like over time and notice the trends, and with your SOPs start refining them as well. But if you do want to just skip all that learning curve and have my SOPs plus my team of VAs that can just be added onto your business to do all your video editing, product page designing, and copywriting, then you can click the first link in my description and join my one-on-one program where you not only get access to all of those amazing SOPs, but also my product page templates, my ad templates, plus weekly coaching with yours truly where you get 5 group calls a week with me, plus a one-on-one coach. And we're the only program that guarantees you'll hit $1,000 a day with your store, or we'll keep coaching you for free until you do, because we have the best results in the game. And then I would say the final boring thing that you can focus on to absolutely rip your competitors to shreds, to pieces, is focusing on your market research. Doing more research than your competitors ever would. Hopping onto Amazon, you can use ChatGPT to scrape Amazon reviews, scrape Reddit threads, read TikTok comment sections, read YouTube comment sections, actually watch videos of people reviewing your product and other similar products to get into the skin of your customers. You should feel like Hannibal Lecter after you've done page after page after page of research. You should know in your head, after doing all of these hours of research, which is required if you want to make elite ads that are 25% better than your competition, who is that one avatar that I'm trying to talk to? What's his or her name? What's their age? What's their occupation? What's their day-to-day life like? What are their short-term goals? What are their long-term goals? What problems are they dealing with in their life that are nagging them that sure would be nice to solve, but if we hit on the right emotional triggers, we'll make them realize they need to solve this today. Because when you stop making assumptions and just copying your competitors blindly and just do your own research, that is when you're going to stand out and actually make winning ads that convert. So saving the best for last, and this is candidly something that I do struggle with all the time. And I feel like most entrepreneurs always have demons when it comes to this aspect, and this is what prevents them from being successful. And it's realizing that, sure, setting goals does give you dopamine. It's one of the easiest things you can do as an entrepreneur. Now, does that mean you shouldn't set goals in the first place? Like, I get there's the whole atomic habits, just focus on your systems because that's what you're going to default to. And there's a lot of truth in that. But for me, when I made the most progress in my life as an entrepreneur, it was always the years when I had a vision board where I set out specifically what goals I wanted to achieve. The dream house I wanted to buy, the dream car I wanted, the dream watch, the roly-poly on my wrist, everything that I wanted, I first visualized out. Because then I had a daily reminder of what exactly I'm working for. What am I sacrificing and making all of these daily habits for? It's right there. I had that reminder. And when you don't have that clear idea as to what is your why, what is that big goal that you're working for that makes all these sacrifices and all the hard work worth it, you're going to get demotivated. And a lot of times you're just going to quit before you actually reach that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So I would actually set a goal that is meaningful to you, which is maybe $5,000 a month or $10,000 profit a month, maybe $100,000. Whatever it is, it should be something that you genuinely know that if you hit it, it would change your life completely. You can go all in with this dropshipping or e-commerce game. Now, once you set that goal for yourself, I would highly recommend auditing and asking yourself the question, who do I need to become to hit that goal? Who do I need to become to make $10,000 profit every single month? What are the daily habits? What are the sacrifices? What do I need to embody lifestyle-wise to make that my new bar for success, my new minimum threshold? Because if I take these daily habits and I make these actions every day, then it's almost impossible. It's inevitable that I'm going to hit that. So I find once you set that goal, once you have that vision board, I know it sounds super woo, it's very manifestation, girly pop. Trust me, it works. I know it sounds gay. Boys, it works. It changed my life completely. I would not be recommending that to you if it did. But once you do that, a lot of times the things you need to do is just audit your time. Where are you distracted? What are you doing right now that is not putting you on the path to hitting that goal? Could be spending multiple hours a day scrolling Instagram, looking at big booty Latina models to goon to. It could be being on YouTube, doing the learning procrastination masturbation arc No, I'm learning, I'm making progress, I'm watching 4 hours of YouTube a day, I'm learning so much, but you're implementing none of it. You aren't doing shit with the information. You're getting that dopamine hit of learning a new thing, but golly, you are stuck in first gear because you're not acting on it. And as we mentioned earlier, speed beats preparation. It's always about taking the right actions. So once you audit what are your bad habits, and believe me, I still have mistakes. I am not a perfect person by any means. Friday, Saturday, for the last year or 2 years, honestly, it all blends together when you have so many espresso martinis and you talk to a new girl every night. I have vices myself. This ain't a problem. This is an investment, by the way. But everyone has things that they know if they're truly trying to be locked in, if they're truly trying to be the best version of themselves so they can hit that goal that they've really been aspiring to, because you know you have a bigger version, you have this bigger dream of what you can be, and you know your potential. You know when you need to cut. You know deep down. Whether it's the video games, whether it's the dating apps, whether it's the Goonie. If you really want to be successful, even if it's a stretch for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just for a week, cut it out. See what happens. And you'll find a lot of times after a week, it's hard the first few days, but after a week, it becomes ingrained into your lifestyle. Now, I know in Atomic Habits, they say it takes about 3 weeks to actually have a habit or a new hobby develop into something that is, yes, a habit. For me, it's usually about a week. I was a video game addict. I would play FIFA, I play Madden, I play Call of Duty, I do all these things. It would suck up literally 8 to 12 hours of my day when I was back in high school. And I found that at the age of 21, it took me that long. I took just a week off because I was vacationing. And once I did that and I just focused on my goals and I reset my dopamine levels because they were completely fried, that doing the boring work, the little tasks, making a few sales a day, finishing my ads at the end of the day, gave me enough dopamine to where business was exciting for me. Because if you're constantly scrolling social media, you're doing the doom scrolling, you're doing the video games, you're doing the porn, you're doing everything, you can't get work done. It's just too difficult because you don't get enough dopamine released in your brain. And I'd say the final thing, if you want to hit your goals, if you want to be successful with dropshipping, after you audit your time, is just realizing that it will take time to make these sacrifices and embed them into your daily lifestyle. But what I find is that really just 2 hours of productive work a day on the highest leverage tasks, creating ads, creating new offers, researching products. If you focus your time 2 hours a day on those specific tasks, you will be so much further ahead than 8 hours of productive work where really you're getting nothing done. Because that is what the average dropshipper is telling you. They're saying they're working 12-hour days, 16-hour days. I work as soon as I wake up, I'm grinding on my laptop till my eyes bleed. They're doing fucking nothing. They're doing work that makes them feel good, that makes them feel busy. It's not productive work. 2 to 3 hours of high quality work on the highest leverage tasks in your business will get you ahead of 99% of your competitors. That is truly all that it takes. And I find the last thing that you can do to make sure you're focusing on that is develop the right environment around you. I find that I get the most work done when I'm surrounded by other entrepreneurs. Birds of a feather flock together. So try to find your people, whether it's on Discord, whether it's in person, like going and seeing networking wise. If you're in Miami, obviously that's perfect, but you might be in a small buttfuck city in the middle of Arkansas, so probably Discord's gonna be your best bet. But when you're talking to people that are on the same grind, on the same journey, have the same goals and aspirations and desires as you, oh my God, does that get you locked in compared to when you're talking to your NPC friends, they're only talking about fantasy football and what girls are sleeping with this week. If you stick with your normie day one friends, you're going to be stuck with them. You're going to be stuck in the same place as them. But if you elevate and you evolve and you make the sacrifice and become an adult and have a new circle of friends and have this new environment where you're eliminating the distractions, maybe you put your phone on airplane mode when you're working. Maybe you stop listening to music and podcasts because that clutters your brain when you're trying to focus. When you eliminate the distractions, you have the right environment around you, you will become successful if you do that consistently. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like if you did, and watch this video next if you want to see a challenge where I do test some dropshipping products live doing my exact AI prompt framework so you can actually see how Daddy Dobbins, the expert, does dropshipping the right way.